In this section of the worksheet, we're going to allocate costs to the departments using the reciprocal method. Our first step is to calculate our allocation percentages. Our facilities cost was going to be allocated on the basis of square footage. So let's pick up our square footage amounts. 3,500 square feet are in the administration's area. We've got 9,600 square feet in the communications area. We ignore the 4,000 square feet in the facilities area because we're allocating the cost of facilities out. And then we've got 176,000 square feet in deposits and 144,000 square feet in loans. Our next step is just to sum up our total square footage so we can get our percentages for our allocations. So our allocation percentage for administration will be the 3,500 divided by our total square feet of 333,100. And if we anchor that, we can have a formula we can copy across. So 1% of the facility cost will be allocated to administration, 2.8% to communications, 52% to deposits, and 43% to loans. As a check, let's make sure that our percentages do add up to 100%. Next, the cost of our communications is allocated based on number of employees. So let's pick up our number of employees. We've got 6 employees in the administration department. Again, we ignore the number of employees in communications because we're allocating out the communications cost. We've got 4 employees in facilities. We've got 140 in deposits and 144 in loans. We can copy our summation formulas down, and our percentages will be the 6 divided by the 250, anchoring that with dollar signs. 2.4% will go to the administration. We've got 1.6 to facilities, 56 to deposits, and 40% to loans. And again, our total percentages add up to 100%. Finally, the administration costs will be allocated on the basis of employee hours. Let's pick up our employee hours. We've got 21,000 employee hours in communications. Our facilities had 13,500 hours. And then for deposits and loans, we were at 281,000 and 218,000. We can copy our sum formulas down and then calculate our allocation percentages. The 21,000 divided by the 534,000 gives us 3.9% of our administration costs will be allocated to communications, 2.5% will be allocated to facilities, 52% will be allocated to deposits, and 40.9% will be allocated to loans. As a next step, let's pick up the direct costs for each one of our departments. And here were our direct costs, and we're simply going to link to those costs. So our direct costs of 160, 240, 203, and then our direct costs for both our deposits and our loan production departments. And let's copy our sum formula down to pick up our total direct costs. The next step is to calculate the costs being allocated from each one of our service departments. The cost that we allocate from our facilities department will be equal to the direct costs of facilities minus any cost, or plus I should say, any costs that have come from communications and any costs from administrations. So we're putting in a formula now to pick up all 3 of those costs. From communications, we're going to allocate out the 240,000 in direct cost. We will allocate any cost from facilities, and we will allocate any cost from administration. For administration, we'll allocate out the 160,000 direct cost. We will allocate any cost from facilities and any cost from communications. Now that we've put in our formulas for our total cost for each one of these departments, we can do our allocations. For facilities, we're going to allocate out the entire 203,200 cost, and we're going to anchor that, and we're going to allocate that on the basis of square footage. So we've got the 1.05% for the administration, again our 203,000, and we can anchor that so we can copy it. we will allocate 2.8% to communications. And we can take that formula now since we've anchored it, and we can copy that on across. And again, we want to make sure our row sums to 0. For communications, we're going to allocate out the entire 245. We're going to take that, and we're going to allocate it on the basis of number of employees. So we're going to anchor that with the dollar signs, and we're going to allocate 2.4% of that to administration. Again, the 245, anchor it with dollar signs, and we're going to allocate 1.6% to facilities. And I can take that formula, copy it across, and finally sum the row, and it sums to 0. For communications, we're going to take the 168,000, and I'm going to anchor that with dollar signs, and we're allocating that on the basis of employee hours. 3.93% will go to communications, and I've got a formula that I can copy across. And again, I'm going to bring it down. And each one of my columns should also sum to 0. And then I can also then finally pick up my total costs of producing deposits and loans. Now, as you built your formulas for your reciprocal method, you might have gotten a pop-up message talking about a circular reference, because basically we're trying to say, let's calculate our administration costs based on our facilities cost and our communications cost. But our communications and facility costs are based on our cost of administration. And so Excel can get caught in a circular reference. To solve that circular reference, we want to turn iterations on. We'll go up to our File menu. We'll come down to Options. Under Formulas, we'll make sure that we have the box here, Enable Iterative Calculations, and then we will hit OK. If we don't have iterations turned on, we'll see the blue arrows like this indicating that there is a circular reference, that there's dependencies built into our worksheet. So again, to eliminate our circular reference, we go up to the File menu, down to Options. Under Formulas, we're going to check Enable Iterative Calculations. I have my iterations set to 100 iterations. We hit OK, and the circular reference will disappear.